this gospel passage that we just read, I've gave it a title. And the title is the passage of nostalgia. Because a lot of things about this passage talk about the past. And especially the line where Simon Peter says, let's go fishing. Because Simon Peter used to be a fisherman before Jesus called him to be a fisher of men. And Simon Peter says, let's go fishing. And everybody echoes his desire. And everybody says, we'll go with you, because many of them were also fishermen. And when I hear Simon Peter saying, let's go fishing, I think about the people of Israel in the desert when they were having difficulties and they were thinking, oh, it was much better in Israel. It was much better in Israel when we had meat and abundance of food and drinks. And I think it's the same spiritual attitude of Simon saying, let's go fishing again. It's like, was this adventure really worthwhile? Wouldn't it be just better to go back to our old profession and just forget about this Jesus nonsense and just be like people grounded in reality? And I don't know about you guys, but I think that many times, as a priest or a seminarian, we also face that temptation. Like, wasn't it better when you hadn't joined seminary? Weren't you a little more free? Couldn't you choose more what to do with your time? Couldn't you go on vacations with your family? Go on a trip with them, and now you can't do any of those things? But look at what happens in this passage. Simon Peter starts with this nostalgic attitude, and Jesus responds to teach him a lesson. Remember that the Israelites also received a lesson when they were nostalgic. Their lesson was very harsh. There were serpents that were biting them. But Jesus is going to give them a different lesson. They're going to try to fish, and their attempts will be futile. They try to fish, they try to go back to their old profession, and they fail miserably. Why? Because it's showing us that yearning about the past is as futile as going on a fishing trip and getting no fish. Hoping you had a different life and hoping your past life back, that is as futile as going on a fishing trip and getting no fish. And that's why Jesus in another part of the gospel says, whoever decides to be my disciple but is looking back, he's not worth being my disciple. So today, brothers and sisters, I think perhaps it's a good opportunity to evaluate ourselves and wonder, am I hoping to go back in my life to a different time to where I'm currently? Does it ever cross my mind, oh, my life was better before I discovered the faith because I didn't have the pressure of my conscience telling me how to act? Wasn't it better before I had children, before I had to take care of all the kids, when I was living just for myself? Today, brothers and sisters, remember that any nostalgic thought that takes you away from being grounded in the present is as futile as trying to go fishing and grabbing no fish. And that's why Jesus allows them to have an abundant fishing experience, because he's telling them the only place where you will find abundance is when you rely on my word.